we've waited.
Hey, welcome in, guys. Welcome in, welcome in. So, let's see if I can find myself. See if I can get this rolling here. Alright. Okay, so welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. My name is Tamara from, let me change this around right quick. Hi, hello, welcome in. My name is Tamara from from Crafty Fox Creations by Tamara. Most people just call me T. So welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm honored that I get to feature a beautiful set. My printer has been on the fritz, so I only have a few pieces, but I definitely want to get us started with the cover for this journal. And I know that every day this week there are going to be people who are going to be coming on and are going to be featuring this beautiful set. So definitely come and check out here the community and see what everyone is doing. I will put the link in later in the description for those who are watching me over on my business page. So I'm going to turn you guys down. We're going to work. I'm not seeing comments, but hopefully we'll get some friends in and we'll be able to play a bit together. So again, thank you so much for being here, and like I said, I'm going to try my best to get... Alright, so I have my chipboard out like I've done before, okay? And because we are working with the kit that is the moon herb, which is, you know, got all the, like, it's got like a little bit of a herbalist witchy type of vibe, which I absolutely love. So I'm super, like, I love it. Like, see, moon herb potion. You've got all these beautiful tags here. Over here, moon potion, and you've got like the ingredients. Like I said, I have some things printed out. Look at it. Look at how gorgeous these are. Absolutely adorable. And then, as you guys can see, this was one of the pages that my printer just decided to stop working. So we're gonna do the cover, and hopefully we'll be able to get something done. Okay. I have this faux leather, which is what I want to cover with. So because it has this whole like herbalist type vibe to it, I have this this faux leather that is green. I don't know if you guys can see, and it's got like the red roses and some blue roses. I thought this would be a perfect cover for this theme. Okay, so we'll end up using this to cover once we are done. Alright, so normally how I have this is chipboard, 22 points. which just means that it is 0.022 of an inch, and these are 8.5 by 11s. Now, normally when I print my papers, like I said, I don't have any right here. Let me see if this one got done. So, see what I mean? I don't know what's going on, but see, it printed the first page, and then it went on the fritz for the second page. So this is one of the beautiful, gorgeous double layer pages. So I'm going to take this, and this is going to be folded in half, and this is going to go into my journal, okay, as is. And I'm printing, I normally print my pages on, I've really started to like printing on the, this is called resume paper. So it is a linen paper, which means that it has a really good feel to it. It also doesn't tear as easily per se, but when you do cut it, it has this fiber feel to it, so I really like it. So because I am just folding this in half, and this is going to be the width, if I did my cover with this, you know, this way, I wouldn't have much of a border because this is literally taking up. So to be able to do that, to have extra going around, because we always want to have a little bit of a lip, I am going to measure, and we're going to work on the, you know, on the tall side, okay? And we're going to end up making these at like 9 inches tall, so that I have, you know, or actually maybe a little bit more, like a 9 1/4, so that we have some space all around here, okay, because we want to have that. All right, so I'm going to pull out my cutting board, and we're going to work with this. So this is my cutting board. As y'all can see. And I just so I thought about doing a paper bag journal for this, but I really wanted to use to have like that sturdiness to it, which is why we are going with the chipboard. Okay, so again, our paper, once folded in half, okay, is going to measure at 5 1/2. All right, so that means that we need to ensure that this is going to be wider than 5 1/2. So we can do the 5 3/4, so we will have a 1/4 of an inch, okay? So that is what we're going to work with. And then just make sure that everything is buttoned up. I know that this kit is part of the Ko-fi membership that Paperomia has. So I highly suggest that you look into it. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous kit. And like I said, I'm very honored that I could be here to feature it. Alright, so this is our first one, and you see how now we have that little lip. Now we're going to do it for our back cover as well. Same thing, we're going to cut it at the 5 3/4. And this is just a regular paper trimmer, nothing special, to cut down this chipboard. I'm able to cut this chipboard because it is the 22 point. If it would be any thicker, you'd probably not be able to cut it with just your regular paper trimmer. Okay, so now that we have both of those cut, so our front and our back, okay, now we look at our pieces, and then we go to look at where we want, and I'm measuring from the start of the line because that is actually where we start measuring. Okay, so in essence our paper is 8.5 inches tall. If I bring it down and start measuring at 1/4 of an inch, it puts us at 8 3/4, which means that we need to cut it at 9 if we want to have about 1/4 of an inch going all the way around. So to do that, we're going to bring it there to the 9, and we are going to cut just like we did the previous. Okay, so there's the first one. Let's cut the second one down, and that way we will have both our front and our back. Okay. Alright, now we have our front and our backs. Now we need our spine. Okay, so for the spine, the pieces that we cut that were left over, they are 2 5/8, which is definitely a little too wide. We don't want it to be that bulky. Okay, so let us look at doing an 1.5 inches. So we're going to cut these at 1.5 inches. Okay, so I have 1.5 inches, and it left me with one that's 1 1/8 inches. This will be good for a smaller book at some point, but now I have this, which will be my spine. Okay, so again, 1.5 inches. Now I need to cut this down to our 9 inches. That is the height of our book. So there are so many things that you can do with these printables. Like I said, I am excited to create this full journal, and so glad that I get a chance to play with this kit. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys the way that I construct my journals. Very simple. It's nothing really complicated. Okay, we're just going to take our sides. Okay, and I'm going to use my board here. You know, like, I'm going to use this as a guide to try and keep my stuff as straight as possible, you know, to the best of our ability. Okay, and then we're going to put this here in the middle. Now, a good rule of thumb is knowing how much space we're going to leave with our journals. Okay, and they tell you to take the material that you're using and make sure that you have at least one width. I try to do 2, because by the time we start adding things, it tends to get a little on the bulky side. Okay, so just try to make sure that that is about evenly spaced out. There are some tools that you can use for that. And then I personally use a masking tape as my binding. This, it is what's going to hold my stuff together. Okay. If you've never built a journal before, or you've never done this style, then here is, like I said, a very simple way of doing them. Now, this is specifically automotive masking tape, but your regular masking tape works just as well. This was just brought home from work from one of my boys for me to use. They asked me once if I could use it, and I said yes, and so they brought me some home. And then we're just going to put some on here. Again, thank you guys so very much for being here and for joining me. On this Monday. I hope everybody had a really good Mother's Day weekend. Alright, so now one of the things you want to do is you want to take your bone folder and you want to varnish your tape. Whether it's paper tape from the first aid section, or you're using masking tape, or bookbinding tape, just make sure you varnish it so that the fibers adhere to, so that the adhesive and the fibers all adhere together, okay? That is what we're doing when we're varnishing our tape. Okay, And then I can here is the basic construction of our book. Now we're going to cover in our faux leather. And I do save all of my pieces because they can come quite in handy for spines and other things. So I do have a box under my desk where I save all of my pieces, including the smaller scraps, as they could be used for making maybe some thicker tags or you know, something of that nature. Okay, so there really is not much of a rhyme or reason to the pattern, so we don't have to be that concerned. Biggest thing is we want to make sure that we have enough that's going to come over, and then cut it. Oh no, what are you doing? Okay. Now, because this is a leather, it is a little bit thicker to work with than just regular fabric. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. But it's the same concept, okay? It is going to be the exact same concepts that we've been using. I am going to use my Fabrifix Fabri-Tac, whatever you have, that is what we're going to use. Because we definitely need something that is going to be very strong to hold this, okay? And I do not put any type of adhesive over our joints, okay? We need our joints to be free to move and not be stiffened by additional adhesive or being attached to the fabric. So okay, make sure you put that lid on so that that stuff doesn't decide to spew everywhere, because if you've used that, you know it likes to go everywhere. Okay, so alright, on the corners we do need to make sure that we cut, okay, those corners so that we can you know, be able to fold these without having a lot of left over. So we're going to cut close, but not right at the corner there. And this would be the same for any fabric. But definitely true for something thicker like this, okay? Alright. Now I do have, or I did have, where did all my little clamps go to? Oh, I know where they are. I'm gonna need these little clamps to hold the stuff down. Just to help hold it in place. So that things can glue. Okay. And then again, we are going to use the Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac. One of the things to help so that we don't have too much here is we're going to cut a triangle. Alright, and this is going to help so that there's not a lot of buildup right there at the right here at the edge, okay, where this is going to bend. And then again, we're going to use my little clamps here to hold things in place for us as the glue sets and all that stuff. Let's hold it there for a few moments just so that it can get nice and tight, okay? Then we're going to come over on this side. And we are going to get this side also nice and held down. Same thing, I'm going to use some of these to hold it in place. So whenever you're working with something it's a little thicker, you know, you're gonna definitely have to give it a little longer of a cure time. And that's okay. That's how things work sometimes, and it is what it is. Okay? Okay. So again, just gonna give it some extra little time there to make sure that it all sticks nicely together. We're gonna do the bottom end, and then once it's at least grasped, then we can do the next part, okay? Ah! like I said, we're going to give this some time to dry just a little bit before we do the next sides. But all we're doing, literally all we're doing, is we're going to then triangle here, fold over on the sides as well. Okay, this is just going to take a little bit longer to cure than your, to grab hold than your normal fabric would, because of the heavy nature of this. So anytime you were to use anything heavy like this, like a canvas or something of that nature, all right, please keep that in mind, that it will take a bit. Okay, I am going to go ahead and cut the little notches out of this opposite side. And again, these are mainly to help with there not being a bunch of folding. Okay. All right. In the meantime, let's work on cutting some of these items out, okay? So even though these are messed up, I'll still probably keep them and use them for something. They would definitely make some great additions, like to a corner, something of that nature. So these will be these are part of like the ephemera that is given to you with the kit. So you do receive ephemera and you receive and you will also receive your sheets as well. Okay. Okay. And I do keep my scraps, because I plan on making paper with it. So Alright, we have these notches here, which are kind of for us to be able to get into. And so I'm just going to carefully try to cut these out. And then we're going to ink these up, and that way we can add them to a page and make a really cute tuck spot for some of the really neat tags as well. Okay. Alright, so example. Alright, we have this page here. Okay. And you can come and add this on here. Alright. Or I left the back side of these blank. And that way we can come in and we can add things like these to them, to the pages, along with other stuff as well. So I love to ink up my page, you know, everything from my papers to, you know, just in general, I love to ink things up. Okay, now there is a border that printed on my pages. I'm sure it's not supposed to be there, but again, my printer is just being very special today. You can totally take these off with your paper trimmer, but seeing as I already have my scissors, I'll just go ahead and trim this one with my scissors. Okay. So hopefully I can get a technician on the phone tomorrow to figure out why my printer is acting the way it is acting, and finish to print off all of these beautiful gorgeous pages so that I can actually get to sewing them in to this journal and get it nice and prepared, right? Alright, we're gonna get our vintage photo, and we'll go ahead and get everything inked up. So the way I see when you print only on one side is that this gives you a blank canvas to add to it and all of the beautiful things. I don't always like to cover up the actual, like, these images are gorgeous, you know, so I'm not a huge fan of covering up the images. I'll add to it, but not really a big fan of like covering it. So I like to print where I can get, as you know, plenty of space for anybody who does want to write in the journal, or for me to create you know, different opportunities for waterfalls or pockets or anything of that nature. You know, if you add some bling to your to your beautiful pages, or glossy accents, you know, or anything to enhance the gorgeous images, that is what you want to do. So I hope that that makes sense, you know, because that is just how I view it. And honestly, with journaling, just like with any art, there really is no right or wrong. It is on the taste and view of the artist, the creator. So please, if you like to do things differently, you know, definitely I encourage you, do things the way you like to do it, not the way that somebody else does it or a way that you're told. You know, do it the way you feel like it needs to be done. I mean, yes, we're all inspired by each other, so most definitely we do you know, take tips and tricks from each other, and that is wonderful, you know, because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn from each other. Now, where did my pocket thing go? Here we go. I just love how this looks. I love the look of old pages. You know, when you pick up that old book and the pages are all yellowed, that wonderful vintage patina. I don't mind the smell of old book. I do not like the smell of a musty book, but an old book, yes. Yes, please. Alright, so let's come in here and let's get her added. And I like to use Alene Turbo Tacky Glue. Art glitter glue is also really good. It's just, it tends to be very expensive. And so this was a affordable alternative that I found. Also, I found it at Michael's, so I get to use my my 40% off coupon, or when we don't have those, I can use my teacher discount for whenever I need something like this. And it works just like your art glitter glue in the sense that it pretty much the moment you put it down, that's where it's gonna stick. Like, you might have like a second. So definitely put it where you want it to go. And in my case, I want it down here in this corner. So that I can add, oh, there we go. So that I can actually add one of the beautiful little tags in there. So I'm just going to let that dry. And then we can always add the other one to this other page as well. So let's go ahead and get it all nice and grunged up. And thank you so very much for, I'm very happy that I got to be able to join. Hopefully I get to join again. I love these kits. They were just so cute and pretty that I definitely wanted to work with it. The beautiful mango kit that came out reminded me so much of back home. So many childhood memories. So I'm really grateful that my friend Deb from Crafting with the Sassy Chicks 101 had told me to look into Paperomia. She had said that I would like it, and she was not wrong. Beautiful kits. And hopefully I'll get asked to come back again, or be allowed to come back again and participate. So because this one is close to the edge, I'm actually trying for it not to be like right on the edge, because you know we do have to sew this in. But see, now we have a beautiful page, right, ready to go. I absolutely love that. Alright, let's work on putting some more of this binder together, this book. Okay. So see, now I can take these off and it will hold. It's not fully cured, okay? I will probably end up putting this overnight, like underneath a stack of books, just to give that extra. But at least now it'll hold, and we can move on to the next part, okay? So let's do the bottom, and then after that, I think we're gonna call it a night, because we've been on for an hour, and I definitely don't want to keep everybody. And I do want to thank everybody very much. I will continue to work on this. I will definitely have a really fun journal to show. I'll be working on this journal here. for sure. I want to do something really fun with the cover. I'm debating if I want to find an image or use, maybe I have some really cool tarot cards that I could, like herb type thing that I could put. So I'm debating. I'm debating which one I'm gonna do. But we will see soon enough. Alright, so again, all I'm doing is I'm going to, and I am trying to stretch this as I am pulling, okay? So I am trying to stretch it as I am getting these tucked. Okay, and then let's do this side before the glue dries on us. And we'll do here. Like I said, you definitely want to make sure that you're stretching it, just because of the nature of this material, okay? Just because of the nature of the material. Okay. Again, it can still close, which is what we need, but we definitely want this to tighten and be all nice and together. So like I said, once that cures, then I can do the, the sides, and they're going to be the same format. We're just going to pull it down, hold it, and then ultimately I'm just going to stack some heavy dictionaries on this overnight for it to cure properly, because it does take at least a good 24 hours. I would say 12 hours, 24 better, and before we can start to really manipulate it. And then I'll cover the inside as well, and we'll get to add in our beautiful pages. So thank you so much for coming and joining me. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are gonna, are liking this idea. You get a chance to go check out the new kit, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. So have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all later.